All right, we are pumped to be back. My name is Chad Hassan. I am joined by a good friend, Jason Porter. Jason sponsors the show, as you can see here, but he's also a big time Flames fan, long time supporter, good friend of the show, good friend of mine. And Jason, looking forward to catching up with you this episode and we'll be talking to Brendan. We got some other guests lined up. We got the guys from Victory Blazer podcast, two guys that cover UAB to the next level. So we'll find out what UAB is all about. We'll be joined by my good friend and creator, founder, all things A Sea of Red, John Manson. If I haven't said this already, we will be going live with 55 to catch up with him, see how his trip down to Mississippi was, and what they got in store this week. And then also we got the Liberty line. So Richie Longshots has been one of my favorite segments so far. I will preface and say I have not previewed his content this week. I am scared out of my mind. I am hoping he didn't say anything that would that would damage the reputation of this well thought of and highly regarded podcast. So throw that disclaimer out there. Jason, so we're 1-0. First game was away. Talk to me. You've been around Liberty for a long time. Talk to me about this first home game feelings at Williams Stadium. It feels like to me, it doesn't matter who we're playing. If it's that first weekend, we are always the stadium is just electric. The atmosphere is electric. Talk to us about that, and then also what we have planned for everybody this coming Saturday.
Yeah, hey Chad, good to see you guys and see everybody on Sea of Red tonight. Awesome to be on once again. To your point, I think the first game, electricity in Williams Stadium is unparalleled and unmatched. It's been incredible to watch the transformation that's gone on through the years. I know certainly back to your student days, Chad, but I go back to the early 2000s even with Liberty football when there were no upper decks or anything like that and visitor locker rooms and all those other good things. But it should be an incredible environment once again. The athletic department has done such an incredible job of getting the word out, getting the be early, be loud, wear a red mantra out. Campus is always glowing red hot on Fridays, which is really cool. If you're on campus, again, wear red on Fridays. And that whole lower bowl, the student section is full from literally end zone to end zone, which is just so cool and a great home field advantage. And I think the opposing teams that haven't been here before are always in shock and awe, which is pretty cool to kind of see them come in. And after games, when I got a chance to visit with colleagues on the field back in the day, they always kind of looked around the stadium and just said, man, I had no idea that it was going to be like this. It's a great home field advantage for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. We do have the Sea of Red and Jason Porter Real Estate tailgate coming up Saturday. So you guys stop by. We'll have athletes there. Kyle Rhodes committed to be there, several others. Just kind of getting together, meeting up with everybody. We'll have some snacks, some drinks, a little bit of food. So stop by. We'll be in Tailgate Town. Just come look for us. Well, you'll be seeing more posts about that later as we go on. But looking forward to tailgating. I don't know what the weather's going to look like, but we will be there, rain or shine. We got a little tent, so should be a lot of fun. Tailgate Town. Come say hello, and love to meet some of you guys. I had a blast doing that last year. All right. Without further ado, let's bring in our guy here and let's talk about recap the game with Brendan. So here we go. Brendan, what's up, man?
How we doing?
Hey, I see you got some new
What's going on, buddy?
swags, a new hat on. That is nice. Is that
Oh
the
yeah,
same one as last year? Or is that new? Looks fresh.
I got some new mail from Greg, so I'm supporting that.
Awesome. So go ahead and tell us about Greg Rogers and what they do and them supporting the podcast.
Yeah, so Greg Rogers, a friend of Chad, Liberty alumni, owns and operates a company named RT Rogers, located in West Virginia, established in 1971, and they keep thousands of commercial and industrial customers on the move every day. And regardless of your fueling needs or location, they bring quality service, exceptional fuel, and leading expertise right to you. So if you need fuel, hit them up. They deliver some crazy places is what I've been told. So always reliable, good friend Greg Rogers.
Hey, that's good stuff, and you nailed that. Wanted to basically just say, Greg has been with the podcast for a while, good friend of mine, and he is looking forward to the Gardner Webb game. Is the one he has circled. He's coming up, and he can't wait to come up to the game and meet you, Brennan, again. And so thanks for doing that. All right, Mississippi. First of all, just it like I could see the humidity on my TV. Was it just nasty down there, weather-wise?
It was humid as heck. Yeah, it was very wet, a lot of sweat, just gross game. There's not
Brendan,
much.
I'm kind of
No other. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to ask you, my sports med days, man. That's kind of always what I go back to, thinking about you guys in the trenches and especially y'all, man, as the O line. But what was Coach Freeze's mentality like after a game like that, going into 5 overtimes? So was it pretty much business as usual on Sunday and yesterday, kind of suck it up, or hey, long extended game, we need to adjust the schedule just a little bit?
Yeah, we actually adjusted the schedule on Monday. Normally we come in and we lift at like 8 in the morning, meet at 7. But we got back. I think the person that went on the team the earliest it was Sunday night. We fly back after the game was 4 a.m. So we didn't get much sleep. So they did a great job adjusting the schedule, letting us rest and recover. A lot of us played a lot of snaps. I know for me personally, I played the most I've ever played in my career in that game. So just getting that rest was big, and they did a great job. And then we got our rest that we needed. We're ready to, reload for this week. So
One last question about Southern Miss for me. It's felt like just a slugfest out there. I asked you this last year a lot, and I don't know how the new coach is doing things, but just very general speak. How well did your unit play, and how well did you play? And I'm sure you have things you can improve on, and there's always next week and all that kind of thing. Just summarize how you guys played as an offensive line. Where are we at?
I thought we showed a lot of grit as a group. Graded out decent, but we all got things we can work on. First game is the first game. There's stuff you can practice or talk about, and until you see it live and you're against somebody else, it's kind of different. So definitely some corrections to make, but the grit that our group showed was incredible. Nobody really flinched, and when you got 3-4 new guys in the mix, it could very easily crumble in a time like that. But none of those guys wavered. We kept to the plan, and by the fourth quarter, we warmed down, and that's when we came in and won the game. So, we won it in overtime, but made our comeback in the fourth quarter. So we just stayed the course, and we got a lot of things to fix, but very promising. And as far as being in shape, our unit was in great shape. It's how we practice. So I know I've talked about that last week, but that was good to see that pay off. But yeah, we have corrections to make, and going into week one to week two, our coach said that's when the great teams make their the greatest adjustments and their greatest strides. So we have a few things each personally to work on these next couple of days of practice, and hopefully fine tune them for Saturday.
Brendan, lots of stats that are always floating around post game. What are the stats that you like to focus in on that kind of tell the story for you and for the team room for you guys as O-line? What do y'all like to focus in on?
First and foremost, did we win the game? And second, I would say yards per carry is big. I know we had over 5 yards per carry, so that's always awesome to have. We had a lot of QB draws in there, so you can say that was a big part of it. But Shedro and Day both averaged over 4 yards a carry. So as far as that was a good stat, but we're always aiming higher. And then, of course, sacks given up. So I think there was 2 total, 1 on the offensive line. So got to clean that up. It was definitely avoidable, but definitely improved at the same time.
Awesome, man. So, I kind of noticed something you had said earlier about the most plays you've ever played in your career. I did notice that there felt like you guys were in great shape, but at the same time you were maybe not subbing as much. Is that kind of by design, or is that just seeing things, or is that kind of how things are going? Felt like you were out there a lot.
Yeah, we didn't rotate as much as we have in the past. I think with the amount of plays that we had, that these next coming weeks that we probably will have a little bit more rotation. We got a lot of talent in the room. There's a lot of guys that didn't play a lot on Saturday that can do just as good of a job. So I think going forward after this game that we'll definitely have probably some more rotations. I know Coach Freeze mentioned it in the press conference. So there'll be a lot of guys you'll get to see out there that'll be doing great, and they work their butts off for this opportunity.
Awesome. One more, Jason. Go for it.
Yeah, just kind of curious, Brendan. I think the 4 overtime, man, that's just an absolute grind to the highest level. But I think the thing that can't be understated here in this too is just what it does for you guys mentally, right? Coming out on the right side of that, and there were some crazy games this first weekend of college football, but it was awesome to see us come out on the top side of a 4 overtime game. But tell us a little bit about what that just does mindset-wise, setting you guys up and just to tee it up like that and get ready to roll after winning a battle like 4 overtimes.
Yeah, I think our execution was poor at times, especially offensively. But you win a 4 overtime game that goes the distance like that. You're down, you come back. You're down, you come back. You know, adversity hits, and you still find a way. So what that tells me is when our execution isn't great and our discipline isn't great, we still found a way. So that means when our execution is better and our discipline is better, we have the grit and the culture to grind out some big time wins down the road. So you look at Arkansas, Wake Forest, any of our opponents, they're not easy pushovers. We're going to need that again, and we know we have it. So we're not going to, flinch. We're going to keep going. So it's a big confidence booster to be able to pull that off. And it's a lot of momentum. Going in every single game, you got a shot regardless of how you play because your team has grit, your team has culture. So I think it's a great momentum booster. And I know for me, it just makes every game feel like you're never out of it.
Awesome. Listen, Brendan, much appreciated, man. Good luck this weekend, Saturday, first home game at Williams Stadium. The seats look amazing. The berm looks amazing. Those cabanas look great. I know the energy that I'm experiencing as a fan. I'm expecting a great crowd there on Saturday night with the students. So have fun, man. It's a unique experience, and one that I know that you guys are excited about. So good luck this Saturday, and hope you guys pull out a victory. But we will be there cheering you on.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you both.
Yep. And
Hello,
Jason, I wanted to send you off as well. Wanted to just say we'll see you Saturday. Thanks for all you're doing for the show, man, and all you're doing for A Sea of Red and Liberty Flames Athletics. You're absolutely killing it. And a lot of folks have mentioned to me, real estate needs and things like that. And so I'm couldn't be happier with how this is going, and looking forward to meeting you again on Saturday. And hope we can see a lot of people come out and show up for that. So thank you again, Jason.
Can't wait. It's going to be a good time. Thanks so much, Chad.
All right. Hey, let's roll that. Hey, before we play this Jason Porter advertisement, I am going to let everybody know he did this in one take. You watch this. This is brilliant. Here we go, Jason.
Well, hey, everybody. My name is Jason Porter. I'm with Legacy Realty and Development, and it's been a great partnership here with Sea of Red lately. I was with Liberty Athletics as the Associate Athletic Director for Sports Medicine, so took care of all of the healthcare needs and coordinated that with a fantastic staff at Liberty in the athletic department, of course, for about 5 or 6 years, and then moved into real estate full time and with Legacy Realty and Development. And it's just been a great pleasure to continue to stay connected with my Liberty University family and the athletics family as well. Been enjoying serving them. A lot of the graduate assistants and some of the staff that I hired has come back now and has been using me for residential services, which I really appreciate. But certainly do residential real estate as far as buying and selling of homes, of course. And then also we have a strong commercial presence as well. So commercial real estate, obviously a very, very different animal than is residential. But whether it's buying and selling commercial properties or just the leasing of properties, we can help with that as well. So it's been a great opportunity to service our commercial clients as well. And then certainly on the investment front too, a number of folks who have discovered the power of passive income through real estate and investing in real estate with rental properties or fix and flips, those kind of things. And so great joy to serve my clients in that capacity as well. The other thing that I would add too is just a very, very full Rolodex at this point of contractors and subs and just different professional contacts that I've made through the years. So if I can ever provide any of those folks to you and all of a sudden you need a plumber or an electrician or a contractor to build your deck, whatever, I'd certainly be glad to give you access to that Rolodex and those references as well. Because a lot of times it's not exactly who you know, it's who you know that knows how to do the job well. And so I would be glad to provide those services for you as well. So love Flames Nation, love taking care of my Liberty family. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, my contact information is all right here on the screen. And I would love to be a service to you and yours. Thanks so much.
Wow, man, that gets me pumped up. Jason is such a stud. Also, I got to find out who does his professional photography. I need to give me some of those headshots. Those are looking good. Joined now by our my good friend, founder, creator, all things A Sea of Red. What do we add to the title this year? Boss Man, maybe? Was that what it was? John, man, it's good to see you. Glad to have you back here. And just wanted to, before we go any further, just say thank you. 10 years, A Sea of Red. You guys have been here from the beginning. Thank you so much for all you do to cover the teams. I know you sacrificed a lot of time, energy, drove all the way down to Southern Miss and back this weekend just to cover the team, and you plan on doing that so much. So before we get any further, congratulations on 10 years. Also, just wanted to say thank you, man. I know that seeing a lot of the comments and things, people really appreciate your coverage, and you've taken this to a new level. And honestly, the athletic department, from what we hear all the time, is the athletic department loves A Sea of Red and really supports what you're doing, and it benefits them really to have somebody covering. Makes more super fans. You know, you have that casual fan, and then you got the guys who read A Sea of Red are super fans, and so that was a long-winded hey, please give me a raise. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much, man, and appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that. And it's obviously, this goes without saying, but it's obviously not just me. It's been a whole host of people, yourself included, and several others that have, helped out over the past 10 years and continue to help. And I can't start to single them all out because I'll be talking a long time. It's been a whole village that have helped A Sea of Red get to where we're at now. And it's a lot of fun. We do it for the engagement and I've said this before, but I'll say it again, it was just my outpouring of the passion that I have for Liberty Athletics is the whole reason why I started it. And then kind of the vision for it is just to help grow the fan base and to take those, students and casual fans and make them more passionate fans. And that's kind of, been the goal all along. And I think we're doing a great job, but a lot of work ahead too.
Yep. One thing that Sea of Red's doing that we've been doing for about the past year, but it's just now getting off the ground. So as you heard me say that Sea of Red is celebrating 10-year anniversary. So we have a 10-year t-shirt sale. Honestly, we're doing a little clearance sale to get rid of some of the inventory we have, and kind of we have 10% off all of NIL shirts. So I'll show you an example of one we have. This is a replica of the Cream basketball jersey. It is the exact replica of what is on the jersey. This is a Peebles jersey. It's got the little Sparky up there. It's got the exact font and numeric as the actual Cream jersey. Really cool. So this one's actually 10% off because this is an NIL. What NIL means is every one of these that sells, Brody gets paid for his name, image, and likeness. That's what NIL stands for. So we use the number 1. Let me get an example of a non-NIL shirt. So these are actually $10 off. To celebrate the 10-year anniversary, $10 off. So I think they're somewhere around $16, $15, something like that on the website. Here is the We Got Dude shirt. This is in indigo color. So the one I have on is navy. You can see the different shade of blue here, but we got an indigo color. These are about to go up on the site. They haven't yet. These are going to be only $15, $16. We Got Dudes. If you follow the baseball program, you know what that's all about. Let's see. We got 2 others here that I'll show. I got a whole host, and John will have them all up on the first of all, the one I'm wearing, the Liberty football one. The one John's wearing is It's a Me, DeMario. I love that shirt. But here is the new Demario Douglas shirt. This is an NIL shirt. It is an exact replica of the red jersey. So you can see there, it's got the 3 and the Liberty logo on front. We're officially licensed to use Liberty logos. And then on the back, it's got Douglas and the 3 in the exact font. You can see that the September sale logo is up there. It's got the last one I'll show you here. There's all September long. And the last one here is this Caden Salter. My goodness, these things are going to fly off the shelf. What an explosive athlete. What a performance. That was incredible. But you can get, it's got the exact Liberty 7 here. If you're just wearing this from the front, you kind of look like Malik, and then you turn around from the back and you got the Salter looking good there. So all of these shirts are on sale, and in September, to celebrate the 10-year anniversary, we're going to have a big sale on those. And we put out a little bit about today. The Indigo shirts are the only ones that aren't up online yet. And the good news about all these shirts is they'll all ship immediately. All the shirts that you've ordered so far, they have shipped. Everything shipped out. So we're excited about that. T-shirts, I'm not sure what industry you guys are in, but supply chain and shortages is real everywhere. And so it's taking us a while to ship these things out, but we're having a fun time doing it. We've got some more planned, but for the month of September, go to the site. You can see it there, seaofred.com. I think you'll click on online store or something like that is the tab name. All right. That was the T-shirt commercial. I want to get over to a couple of comments real quick. First of all, Randy says, what reputation, smiley face? I guess he was talking about when Richie long shots might ruin our reputation. Because, John, I sent it to you like last minute, but I did not preview his Liberty line. So I'm not taking any ownership if he says anything that a Sea of Red, he signed the non-disclosure agreement. The second comment here is, again, from Randy. He says, Chad loves him some Manson. Oh, yes, I do, for sure about that. Travis Allen says, can't wait for Saturday. Travis, me either, dude. I am so pumped. Camping this year, something we're doing different. Me and the family are coming up to Paradise Lake and camping all weekend. And then Paul, thanks for the comment here, Paul. Honestly, you are such an asset to the entire athletics department and have played a part in getting the fan base to where we are today. I appreciate that, Paul. And, it's the engagement of folks like yourself standing up, wearing jerseys. I mean, Paul, you make it happen on game days. And you are, Paul, when I first started the podcast, I'm going to just say 8 seasons ago, John's probably going to disagree, but 8 seasons ago, whenever I started the podcast, Paul was the first one commenting every time I tweeted out, can't wait for the podcast. Really glad you guys released this. Good stuff, Chad. And it was so encouraging to me to keep going, to do this. It's something we do as a hobby. So, Paul, thank you for always being encouraging in your kind words. And then last one, Jeremiah Flincham, he says, can't wait to see you guys this weekend. Jerry, looking forward to it, man. Please, Jerry said he's going to bring some Kool-Aid, some actual Kool-Aid to the tailgate. Looking forward to that. So, wow, that was a lot of comments. BJ Williams, haven't seen your name in a while. He says, hey, Mr. Porter. Mr. Porter's gone. But BJ, been around for a long time. John, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Randy Sly Fox on the old message board? So yeah. he was integral, I believe, in starting some of that flamesfans.com. So Randy,
he was in charge of the message boards and kind of the admin, moderator, whatever you want to call it, and still very active there. So Flame Fans is, well, I guess it goes back even before that. I don't know how many people listening were around back in those days. Back when I was in college, it was Liberty Pro Boards or something like that. He was back on helping run that and lead that ship, and then transitioned it over to Flame Fans, which saw a lot of growth. And now the message board's under the Sea of Red moniker as well too. So that's who Randy is.
Awesome. So I did mention this shirt. I wanted to show that it has the light blue in there, which I saw a Freeze family member call this powder blue. So I'm not sure if that's what we're officially going to call. Like, it's Freeze blue. Is it light blue? Is it baby blue? I heard the official word was powder blue this weekend. So that's what I'm going with until somebody wants to correct the Freezes and say that it's not powder blue. That's what we're going to go with. All right, John, that was a lot, man. All right. I'm so glad. This is why we don't have you in the middle of the show, because the schedule just goes all to heck because I just start rambling. All right, throw up that graphic from the Southern Miss game, and let's recap. John, you were down there. You've written a lot about this game, but just talk about, one, obviously we just got to go ahead and talk about what was the difference when Caden took over, and secondly, was it the defense just being opportunistic, or was it UAB? I mean, Southern Miss just turning the ball over. What happened? How do we get that many turnovers?
Well, the turnover part, it was some of both. I mean, if you go back and look at it, and I went back and rewatched the game some on Monday when I got back home, but Darrell Johnson made an incredible play. There's a photo we got up in our photo gallery that went up on Monday or Tuesday. My week's messed up with the Labor Day holiday, but the play he made, and he was kind of reading the quarterback's eyes and kind of taking a step back and watching him and seeing what he does. And then, that's where he's able to make a really athletic play that most defensive ends cannot make. And he tipped the ball and kind of knocked it up in the air and was able to come up underneath of it. Kobe Singleton, who's, first game playing for Liberty from Southern Utah, transfer at corner, he made a great play on that ball. It was a deep pass down the right sideline, and he was, step for step with the receiver. And then as the receiver turned and looked for the ball, so did Kobe, and he was just able to make a great play on the ball and hauled it in and just took it away from the receiver. Javon Scruggs had another one where he punched the ball out and, was able to strip the ball carrier and fell on that. And, Mike Smith made it a great play where he kind of jumped in front of the pass for an interception. And it was just, and that's something that the defense, defensive coordinators, both Jack Curtis and Josh Aldridge are talking about throughout camp. Every defensive player we talked to during camp was talking about, tips and overthrows. We've got to get those. I was out at practice this morning and, as the defense was stretching, they're out there, chanting tips and overthrows, got to get those, just nonstop. So that's obviously something that's, been on the front of their mind, and that's something they're focusing on, and paid off big ways Saturday night. Of course, you're not going to get 5 turnovers every game. That's just not going to happen. But it was a pleasant surprise. But, man, I hope we get to talk about Caden Salter some more, because I love me some Caden Salter right now. And you asked the question about what was different. I don't know what it was, but one thing that was very evident, as I was sitting in the press box down there in Hattiesburg, is the offense just seemed, nothing against Jonathan Bennett. I don't mean this as an indictment on him. It just, from my perspective, it just seemed dead, especially late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. Just there was no energy. There was no juice. They were just kind of going through the motions. And then Caden came in, and that first play, if you remember the first play he had, this was right after that pick six at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Liberty fell behind 17-10, and all the momentums with Southern Miss. Liberty hadn't moved the ball the entire third quarter. There was no continuity on offense, no flow, no rhythm. It was just not going. Things were not going well. And Caden Salter comes in, fresh off the bench, third string, which I don't think that's getting enough play. I've tried to bring it up every time I've talked about it, but this guy was third string. Like, he wasn't getting any reps during practice. Those were all going to Charlie Brewer, and then JB was getting some as the backup. And, it's his first time playing in a college game. He's getting thrown in the fourth quarter with very little time, because it's not like there was a whole series for Southern Miss. It was a pick six. So I'm sure Freeze went over to him at some point in time after the touchdown and maybe during an extra point or the kickoff and say, hey, you're up. You don't have time to think about it. Just go get in there, get your helmet, let's get in the game. And what he did was just, it's stuff of legend. I'm trying not to put too much on it, but it just is. He immediately comes in and kind of going back to what I was saying is that first pass play, a deep pass play down the sideline to Noah Frith, who was unable to haul it in, but it was a great pass. And right when that happened, Damian Sordelette from the News and Advance was sitting next to me up in the press box. I turned to Damian. I said, well, that's the quarterback right there. He's the quarterback. It was apparent, even on an incomplete pass. And then, of course, we all know what happened. He drove down and led the team to a touchdown, did it again with less than 2 minutes to go to tie it up and send it into overtime and ultimately pulled the game out. But there was just so much more energy, much more juice, I guess is a good way to say it, when Salter was in the game. And I don't know if the team just, needed that spark, but he was there to provide it, and he answered. And it's going to be interesting to see how things play out going forward. But we certainly saw the potential that he has.
So here's the two things I noticed that were different. One was there was a free rusher coming off the end, and he just I thought we're dead, or this play's dead, and he just sidestepped the guy and made a great play. I think he ended up running for 15 yards that time. That was one thing that was different, was the play was never over, even if it was busted coverage, right? And we saw busted coverage where Bennett was just taking sacks. The runs he had were more like draws. We're talking busted coverage and Salter still making a play. That was different. The second thing I saw was different was when he was running, he was always looking downfield, and he even said that in his post game. That was evident. Like when Bennett tucked it to run, you're like, okay, he's going to run for 11 yards. When Salter started running, you're like, he's still looking down. He's still got the ball up here, cocked and ready to go. And even the pass he made to Jerome Jackson for the touchdown, I thought he was going to run for 12 yards and step out of bounds. That's how the play was developing. As I was watching, I was like, okay, hurry up and just get out of bounds so we can run another play or something like that. And he was just looking downfield. Those two things, to be able to escape the busted coverage and to constantly be a threat as you're running, those were the two big difference makers, I think, what I saw in the way the offense. And those are just in college football. You don't get away with that in the NFL as much, but in college football, I mean, we've seen it for the last couple of years of Malik. You have to have somebody like that can just extend plays and go with the busted coverage and that kind of thing. So, am I saying busted coverage? Busted protection is what I'm meaning up front. So, anyways, that was kind of the you can see his numbers there: 9 carries, 65 yards, 8 for 13, 148, 2 TDs. He did have an interception. It was underthrown. It was a bad throw. It looked like it slipped out of his hand. I can't really tell for sure. Talk to us about, and then we got this graphic here. He was been named the Campbell Award Player of the Week, honorable mention.
For 1 quarter of play.
Yeah, for 1 quarter of play. Let me just go ahead and say this. Like you said, he was third string last Saturday. This time, last Saturday before the game, he was third string. And now he is Player of the Week, honorable mention for 1 quarter. I'm so pumped about Caden Salter. John, what else you got on this guy? You've been covering him for a little bit now. What else you got on him? How hyped are you about Caden Salter and the possibility at UAB this week?
Man, I'm so pumped for Caden. Like I can't. I'm a huge fanboy by heart. I know I cover this team and try to be as impartial as I can, but I'm obviously a Liberty fan. And man, I'm a huge fan of his. Like, I just want to watch and see what he can do. And everybody listening and watching, go back and watch just the fourth quarter. If you only got 20 minutes, go back and watch just the fourth quarter. It's on ESPN Plus. You can go back and watch the game. Go back and watch the fourth quarter and just watch the kid perform. I mean, it's just amazing. And not to mention all the things that we're talking about, him being third string and stuff. But you mentioned that pass to Jerome Jackson. I mean, I think it was like second and like 19 or 17 or something like that. It was right after a holding penalty. And I don't even know how he got the ball in there. I mean, it was such a small window. Coach Freeze said in his press conference, the window was the size of a little folding chair that was there in the room. And he fit it right in there perfectly as 2 defenders were converging on the ball on Jackson. And, as he's rolling out, like you were saying, and trying to make a play where he could have run for 10 yards and, he hit Jackson perfectly. Then the pass for the 2-point conversion in the fourth overtime, which ended up being the game winner, was another beautiful pass that he put in the back corner of the end zone. But, one thing about Caden going forward and that we need to be remembered or remind ourselves, and, same thing, it happened against Southern Miss, is yes, the potential is, limitless. His ceiling is so high, but he is still raw. He is still young. He's likely going to be making his first career start on Saturday against a very good UAB team, a very good UAB defense, and he's going to make mistakes. Like it's going to happen. Like you mentioned that interception. It was a bad pass. He should have ran the ball, tucked it and run for 10 or 15 yards, picked up the first down, keep the drive alive. But and the receiver to his defense, the receiver was wide open. He waited about a second too long to release it or to see him, and then he underthrew him by a good 5 to 7 yards. And then, there was some, Coach Freeze talked about he missed some protection cover or calls, and a couple of times it was a busted play just from not knowing the playbook, I guess. But that's part of being third string, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens Saturday night with Caden Salter.
John, a few more minutes here. You and I could probably go talk about this stuff all night, and it's so exciting. What do you want to get to here? What's the storyline, or anything else, or you got one more room for one more question from me?
Yeah, go ahead with another question. You want to talk UAB?
No. We got the Victory Blazer guys, and we'll read your game preview with all that coming up. Here's my question. I ask you this every year about week 1 or 2. We're sitting 1-0, and we just beat Southern Miss. We're getting ready to play UAB. Does your mind even go back 5 years ago to where we were just like barely beating FCS teams, getting left out of the FCS? Like talk to me about the rise of this program just in 5 years. Can you still 6 years now? Take me back 6 years ago. Does your mind even go back there? Mine doesn't. Like I have expectations now. I have something to cheer for now. I have a new standard, obviously, and I can't even go back to those days of sitting in an empty Williams Stadium watching us lose to Gardner Webb on a blocked field goal or whatever it was. I can't get back there in my mind. I want to know your opinion. That always intrigues me. How did we get here? Is it still just amazing to you? Just talk to us about the rise of this program over the last couple of years, and honestly, here's the question: what has been the main contributing factor? Who has it been? What has it been? What is that one thing that's taken us to this level?
Honestly, I don't want to go back there. Like, let's be honest. I wasn't making 11-hour drives to non-conference games in the first week of September when we were in the FCS. I just didn't do it. I did make some trips. I went to Stony Brook for a conference championship game at the end of the year and other trips like that. I obviously followed the team in the FCS playoffs in 2014, but it's hard to really pinpoint one thing. Obviously, the commitment from the admin, from the previous admin to the current admin, university I'm talking about, not just athletic department admin, is obviously a huge contributing part. They have the resources, they have the facilities, they have the commitment is there. And then, but you can have that. And I think Liberty had some of that back in the Big South days, whether you're talking football, basketball, or whatever. But that didn't always translate to success on the field or on the court. But it's changed over the last 5 years. And I really think, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but I really think a lot is to Ian McCall. I really think, this is a guy who's one of the best athletic directors in the entire country, regardless of level. And he's at Liberty. He's been able to set out a plan, set out a mission, and a game plan for his department. And he's been able to execute on it, from coaching hires and fires to just success in the classroom, success on the field, court, whatever it may be. And, from football perspective specifically, obviously Hugh Freeze is a huge contributor to that. If I can go back to that first game when Liberty was playing Syracuse in 2019, the first game kind of as a full FBS member in bowl eligible that season. And it was Hugh Freeze's first game. Remember, he was up in the hospital bed in the top of the press box. But I remember walking around just pregame that game and just thinking, I really had a lot of butterflies going on and just chills walking around and just thinking it was completely different. Like, it was a completely different feel, something that we had never experienced before at Liberty, just from the facilities, the game day atmosphere that Ian and his staff had helped build up. And then also the operation of the football program. You walk around that facility now for practice or whatever. It's a business. It's this is a guy that came from the SEC, and he knows what he's doing. He knows how to, build out the administrative staff for the football offices, the recruiting staff, the on-field staff, obviously the support staff, and he's done it and done it at a high level. So, again, I didn't really answer your question. I gave you about 5 things as opposed to 1, but it's hard. It's really hard to just pinpoint one thing. But, it's been a lot of fun to kind of watch this rise. And we've talked about it before, and you've brought it up is, there's very few people outside of Liberty alums currently that are able to follow a program that has this drastic of a rise right before our own eyes. I mean, I can remember several years ago walking around to going to Liberty football games and thinking, I think we can be FBS one day. I think we can be there one day. And, now we're here and, we didn't like limp into the FBS. We've been, won 8 games in 3 straight years and been to a bowl game 3 straight years. And obviously, won a bowl game all 3 of those years and been ranked in the top 25 second year as a full FBS member. I mean, some of the stuff that we're talking about, we say it without even thinking. And it's really like just amazing and unheard of. I mean, it's unprecedented. It doesn't happen. Look at UMass. I mean, UMass was a storied football powerhouse, if you want to call it that, at the FCS level. They were competing for conference championships each and every year in the CAA, and they were competing on a national level. Well, now they're up in the FBS and have been like 5 or 6 years longer than Liberty has, and they have nothing to show for it. I don't think they've been to a bowl game. I mean, they win – if they win 1 or 2 games a year, that's great. And I mean, look at UConn. That's another team that's in a big media market. And I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, there's some exception to it. And Appalachian State, Coastal Carolina has seen some success, but what Liberty's been able to do is really unprecedented.
You could go on and on. You did go on and on, but I love it.
I'm sorry.
All good, man. Hey, we're looking forward to the coverage this week. It's game week, first home game. Porter and I talked about it a little bit before you got on. We're doing the Sea of Red tailgate. We'll be putting more stuff out about that this week, but looking forward to seeing you guys there and your family there. And it was a lot of fun last year. We'll do that again this year. So, John, we are going to preview the game with the Victory Blazer podcast here. And appreciate you jumping on, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, go Flames.
What is up, guys? We have with us the Victory Blazer podcast. This is John Duncan and Darion Smith. Thank you guys for joining. As you can see, we love the Liberty Flames. I believe. Well, let's just ask you guys. You guys are coming off of a big win in week 1. What's the feeling down there with this fan base? High expectations. What are we expecting? We're still early in the season. John, we'll start with you. What is what are most fans for UAB? What are you guys mostly expecting this year?
I mean, the expectations are high from the UAB fan base. I mean, it's honestly Conference USA championship or bust, and that's been the mentality since, this program returned back in 2017 under Bill Clark. But, this is the first year without Bill Clark as a interim head coach. Bryant Vincent has taken over this program and, trying to take us back to another Conference USA championship. So we're excited. And it's kind of odd. We were talking with John Manson on our podcast yesterday. It's, with UAB transitioning to the AAC and then Liberty transitioning to Conference USA, it feels like both programs are on the rise, in the G5. So exciting things for both programs, I think.
Darion, what is it about? First of all, I was in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I took the over 8.5 wins for UAB. I think you guys definitely win 9 games this year. What is your outlook on the season? I know you guys have high expectations, but just how much did losing Coach Clark affect that win total and the expectations for the fans? And do you think that 8.5 is a good win, a good win total?
I think 8.5 is money. I think that's easy money. I don't think losing Coach Clark, I don't think it affected the win total at all. Because Coach Clark was there, he laid the foundation. Coach Clark, let's be clear, he was the only guy I believe in the freaking world that could have led us to where he led us to in a short amount of time. And all the things that we were up against, Coach Clark was the guy for the job. But with Coach Vincent now being there, he has imposed his style of how he wants to coach. And the atmosphere is great around the team. Everybody wants to be there. There's so much energy, so much jubilance. The guys really play hard for Coach Vincent. They love him. So I think Coach Clark did a great job of establishing culture. That is what we needed at the time. We needed traditions. We needed culture. And he put everything in place, and he set up a good friend. Coach Vincent and him are good friends. He set up his friends to be successful for a long time, I believe. So Coach Vincent is the right guy for the job. He's the right voice and the right personality for the team.
John, this one's for you. Did you get a chance to watch Liberty's game? And if not, have you seen the highlights? And the question is, what did you think about Caden Salter? I know you heard me and John ranting about him a little bit there. Brings a dynamic that maybe you guys might not have been expecting. What is the Blazer Victory podcast take on Caden Salter?
He's good. I mean, yeah, and I did get to catch that whole game. Well, most of it. I rewatched it. Him coming in the fourth quarter really give a spark to that Liberty offense. Bennett was not doing so well. I mean, he wasn't doing terribly, but he really wasn't doing well. And then Salter, comes off the bench and just lights a spark. And, I mean, he is very elusive. UAB is going to have to try to contain him. I felt that Southern Miss did a terrible job trying to contain him. Once he got outside the pocket, he pretty much went wherever he wanted to go and threw wherever he wanted to go. And now rewatching that game, I can't imagine how, Chad, you and John and the guys were watching that game, because that was a roller coaster of a game. It was really like both teams trying to fill each other out. It was the first game of the season. But I don't know, like Salter is so good, but now that UAB has a quarter of film on him, I mean, now that Salter has film on him for other teams to look at, I'm highly, I just can't wait to see what happens Saturday night and see if can Salter continue that. Can he be the next Malik Willis, maybe? I know Liberty fans are hoping, and I did get to catch some of John's rant about Salter. So, I mean, I'm excited to see him. I hate that we're not going to, Darion and I aren't going to be able to make it up to Lynchburg, but I know some UAB fans that are making the trip up. So we're just anticipating a really good ball game come Saturday night. And I hate that the game is going to be on ESPN Plus, because I do think that this does, deserve some national attention for both of these programs that are both on the rise.
Hey, that's a good point, man. Hey, flash that comment back up there. We got Nick, the producer. He is always just throwing stuff. Look at this hot take. K-Salt will be better than Malik. Oh, my word.
Hey,
all right.
Hey, slow it down. Hey, if you're a Liberty fan, you got to see some more before you say that, okay? I mean, I know he's good. He looked good against Southern Miss, but let's see how he looks Saturday night and then the next couple weeks. But hey, the guy's talented for sure, but he's not at Malik Willis's level yet.
Not yet.
I'm riding such a K-Salt high that I just need to go ahead and ask Darion my next question before I make any crazy comments. So Darion, talk to me about your team this year. I watched a little bit, but you guys had a blowout win in week 1. What is it? Who are the guys on offense that we need to keep our eye on? I'm sure it starts with the quarterback, but who is the one or two guys that when every snap comes, we need to be watching where this guy is, because he's such a difference maker?
Well, everybody's going to know Debo, our running back, Dwayne McBride. He didn't play against Alabama and A&M, and he would have had fresh legs anyway. I mean, let's face it. The game was over in the first quarter, But we have two dynamic running backs in Dwayne McBride and Skull Brown. They both are very dynamic. Our receiver Trey Shropshire, he got injured on the first drive of the A&M game. So we expect him to be back. He's the guy that can really take the top off the defense. He's our DeMario Douglas. He's the guy that you want to watch out for. You're going to make sure, hey, let's have two guys over the top because he can make plays. But this is probably the deepest receiver room we've had in a long time. But they're unproven, So, but we have a lot of playmakers, and these guys was picking up yards after catch against Alabama A&M. But we kind of leave the game with more questions than answers, kind of like you guys did. So this is going to be the litmus test for both of us. I think our defense as a whole, this is probably the fastest defense I've seen UAB have. We have some dogs at linebacker. We have by far the deepest cornerback and safety room that we've ever had. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we contain Salter. I didn't see him make a play in the pocket. Maybe you guys can. I rewatched it. Once he got out of the pocket, he'll make you hold your breath. I'm like, oh my God, what he's gonna do now? So I really want to see our D line and our linebackers really. Hey, you're gonna have to win in this stay discipline and make throws in the pocket. He's young. I want to see him progress go through his progressions with his receivers, and I want to see him make throws. I want him to beat us like Malik Willis could do that. Malik Willis could also run you over and break tackles. Malik Willis' whole draft highlight was against us last year. Okay, yep. So we know he's not Malik Willis. Let's start there. He's too young. He has a bright future ahead of him. But now we got some film on him. Now we know we need to contain. Make him throw the ball. That's what I want to see happen.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, look. He's the baby goat. He's the baby Malik. I believe.
There you go.
Hey, John, question for you. Something I'm always interested in. Yeah, go get your T-shirt there to seaofred.com. Thanks, Nick, producer, for that. John, I'm always interested with these G5 games. What type of transfers does UAB have? I mean, Southern Miss had 8 SEC transfers on their defense last week, and it showed. Like, those guys were talented. They were good ball players. Talk to me about UAB's transfers. Maybe 1 or 2 names to keep an eye on that have maybe come from the P5 SEC type area.
I mean, Darion can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, UAB certainly gets transfers. But really, I mean, UAB has really, prided itself in developing players. And, of course, there are some guys, that come from JUCO into UAB, just like Darion did. But as far as like just taking transfers in and out, UAB really doesn't do that a whole lot. UAB has always, since the return, well, of course, 2017, they took all the transfers. That was a return of the football program. But the last couple of years, I mean, there haven't been a whole lot of transfers into the program. UAB has really prided itself on getting those diamonds in the rough recruits and developing them and getting them ready. Now, Liberty fans can expect to see some guys that they didn't see last year. I mean, you look like a guy like Fred Ferrier, a wide receiver. There's a bunch of different guys that they'll see that they didn't see last year. But that's really a tough question. Darion, am I missing something? But I feel like UAB as a whole has always just kind of developed. They don't really take a whole lot of transfers into the program.
Yeah, we're one of those programs, kind of like the Appalachian State, to where we prided ourselves on developing guys, getting them in, redshirting them. And they probably won't play until their, redshirt sophomore year. We're that type of program. But we do have a couple of transfers. We have Jackson Bratton. He was a transfer from Alabama. He plays linebacker. He has great speed on him, number 6. He's in the 2 deep rotation at middle linebacker. They're a very good player, highly recruited out of high school. We have Tyler Taylor. He's been with the program, so he's really a UAB Blazer, but he came originally from LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Kadeem Telford, our left tackle, he's originally from Florida. I almost forgot that he played at University of Florida because he's been with the program 2 or 3 years now. Other than that, like most of our guys that we have here, they're homegrown. They've been developed by us. They've been here forever. Even if they haven't played, they've been here forever. Especially with the COVID year thing, we got old, young guys, So yeah, so we keep them here and we develop them and we get them ready to play.
Yeah, and then 2 guys real quick though. You look at the backup quarterback Jacob Zeno coming in from Baylor, so that's a really key Power 5 transfer. I don't know how that slipped my mind. And then of course you look at T.J. Jones, wide receiver coming from Penn State. So there are some guys, but
it creates a good culture, and as fans, I love that whenever it's like a homegrown feeling kind of guy too. So it kind of gets a little bit more fan engagement there. Darren, you've already talked to us about containing K-Salt. What is not necessarily geared towards Liberty? I know you did watch the replay, but what are a couple of things that UAB has to do well, better than last year when they played Liberty, better than they showed week one? What are some just like of the keys that the UAB has to do well if they want to come as a 6.5-point favorite up into Lynchburg and one, win the game, and two, cover that spread? What are some of the things they need to do and kind of show you guys? If you watch it and you're like, yeah, we're doing this means a UAB win.
Well, first thing first, Brian Vincent, he needs to get in contact with the Tennessee Titans, make sure Malik Willis has signed that contract, and then make sure he's not walking on the field. So that is the major guy, and he still gives me nightmares. I didn't play. So and then but honestly, the key number one, like you said, K-Salt, as y'all have named him, I like it. I like that nickname. He's the key in containing him. Of course, we've talked about that already, but do not let him outside of the pocket, because that is where he makes his plays. He can run, he can throw it. I think we have to be aware of Demario Douglas. He's a dynamic receiver. The other guys seem I don't know. We just don't know much about the other guys. But he stood out in a major way. I think we have to impose our run game. From what I saw on film, Southern Miss was pretty much one-dimensional, especially when the quarterback went down. And Liberty still wasn't able to really stop him, contain Frank Gore. I felt like whenever he got one-on-one with the linebackers, he was able to make plays happen. And he was able to break tackles. And Southern Miss is a much, much improved team, especially on the offensive line. But we probably have arguably the best offensive line in conference. And they're all experienced, and they are very physical. And I think in order for us to win, we have to impose our run game. We have to let Debo run wild. We have to get score. We have an experienced quarterback that can take the top off with Trey Shropshire, and we have receivers that are good in open field. So I really want to get those one-on-one matchups. I want to force Liberty to try to crowd that box to try to match our physicality. I do not want to get into a passing game shootout. That's not what I want to do, because it's not that we can't do it. It's that I feel like it plays into you guys' strengths. I came away from the game impressed with the defensive backfield for Liberty. They make plays, and I think you guys have a very good pass rushing unit. From what I saw, I don't know how they are against the run. I wasn't impressed with that part, but I was impressed on third and long. I felt like you guys have some twitchy guys on the outside, and a lot of speed rushes, and so I'm like, no, we need to make this more of a brawl. We need to kind of like those Big Ten Iowa teams,
yes.
like not a 7-3 type of win.
Oh, that was ugly. That was ugly.
Nothing ugly like that. But as far as imposing our will and what we want to do in the run game and being physical, I think that'll be the key. And just getting one-on-ones with the running backs and one-on-ones with our receivers, and forcing you guys to match what we want to do. I think that's important.
And real quick, Chad, I mean, I thought that was what Liberty did a great job with last year, was stopping the run game from UAB and forcing UAB to chunk it downfield. And obviously that didn't work out last year, with 36-12. So that is definitely, I agree with Darion, that's going to be the key, is if UAB is able to establish the run and get it going early on, it very well could be a long day for Liberty.
Yeah, just promise us no more Super Cat. That was not fun to watch last week, or Super, whatever they called it. It was
wing tee or whatever they were running. Yeah, that was weird. No,
Superback, dude. That guy was Frank Gore Jr. Every time he took a snap, I thought he's going to gash us for 8. He was a phenomenal player, and I hated every second of watching the Superback Wildcat.
So while we're here, you said you thought that he was going to gas you for 8. What was your opinion? Why do you think he was able? Was it something that you guys weren't expecting? Because I saw from my eyes, and my eyes could be tinted with greed and gold, but I saw guys missing tackles.
Yeah, I would say it started with, it started with the linebackers. I thought that our line got good push. Our lines got hands on him. But once your linemen get hands on him, I think that our linebackers were out of position a couple of times. You know, they're a bunch of new starters, and then like you said, linebackers weren't they had a lot of missed tackles. So we had Story Jackson last year. He led the FCS in tackles and then transferred to Liberty and then went over and was an undrafted free agent for the Cowboys. I think he just got picked up on a practice squad. But man, he was a tackling machine. So all our D linemen really had to do was just get a hand on and stop some momentum, and then he would come in and clean it up, no problem. I didn't see that very much in week 1. And Gore is just a really good running back. And when they kind of just stacked it up like that and just like, we're going to run on you, I felt like that we were like kind of panicked a little bit because like you said, I agree totally, man. We want to turn this into a run and gun. We want to put up 14 quick points to make sure that your running backs are kind of stifled and that you guys feel like you have to throw the ball. So that first quarter is going to be real important with scoring on the first couple of possessions. I know people say that all the time, and it's so stupid. But in this game, it's really true. We have to make you guys pass the ball. We can't let you guys get up and then, because I was nervous last week. I felt like we were going to get gashed for 8 every time Gore took the super back position. All right, last one here is about Conference USA, and I know you guys are headed to, I believe, the Sun Belt.
Whoa. The AAC, man. Woo!
All right.
Hey, no disrespect to the Sun Belt.
They will have what I believe will be the top football conference for a few years. Now it's going to take the AAC and Conference USA some time. Conference USA kind of how do you put this? Had a wake-up call. That's what I'll say. They'll had a wake-up call. Whenever realignment came, they found themselves at the bottom. They found themselves in a desperate mode. They added some schools, and getting Liberty, in my opinion, I'm a Liberty fan, obviously, but getting Liberty with our resources, our recent success with Hugh Freeze, Richie McKay coaching the basketball team, I feel like that getting Liberty was a big win for Conference USA, and there was a lot of conferences didn't want us for multiple reasons. But where does Conference USA go from here? Are you guys on the bandwagon that has completely lost faith in the conference? Let's say we get a TV deal and it has ESPN and another streaming service, and it's a much better deal than what they have now, with the new schools, with Liberty being added. Tell me, are you guys completely out of it on this Conference USA, or are we going into a complete mess and it's just never going to be fun for us? Or can you see a little bit of hope? Do you feel like that the Conference USA may have learned their lesson, and with the media rights that they're doing, the schools they've added, the humble pie that they just ate in front of all the national media? We'll start with you, John, and then get your thoughts on Conference USA and our future there, Darion, as well.
I mean, Chad, you said it best. I mean, if you go back a couple years ago when they were exploring adding Liberty to the conference, they very well should have added Liberty a couple years ago to Conference USA. And I think that, that was one of the mistakes, one of many, that Judy McLeod and leadership of Conference USA have made over these last few years. But the biggest one was the media rights deal. And I see where Judy was wanting to go. They were wanting to kind of think outside the box and go with Stadium and get these streaming services and Facebook Live. But let's be real, guys. Nobody wants to watch a game on Facebook or on MySpace or wherever, that these games are being played on. People want linear packages or even, ESPN Plus, something like that. I think Conference USA is very salvageable. And I think adding Liberty to the conference can help increase that exposure for the next media rights deal. You look at basketball for Liberty. You mentioned earlier, Chad. Liberty has a really good basketball program coming out of was it the ASON that y'all played? Is that right? Okay, yeah. So taking a step up to Conference USA, where you've got Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee, really good basketball programs. You've got some good football programs. Western Kentucky has a good football program. But as we were saying on our show when John came on the Blazer Victory podcast that John Manson did, and I communicated with him, I think Liberty is going to come in and dominate Conference USA. You look at just the budget of Liberty Athletics compared to some of these other Conference USA schools, Liberty will be able to contribute or will come in right away next year. and compete for championships right away. You know, you bring in New Mexico State, Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State. I mean, you still got UTEP, Western Kentucky, FIU, and all that. I mean, Liberty can come in and just right away start competing for championships. And John mentioned this on our podcast. You look at the CFP expanding to 12 teams in a couple years, and you got the top 6 conference champions get that automatic, berth into the playoff. Who's to say that 5 years from now, that's always going to be the AAC, or as you think, Sun Belt, Conference USA? The fact that Liberty is able to finally join a conference is going to be able to catapult this program, just take the next step up, So for UAB, for us, it's another step forward for our program going into the AAC, where we're going to be able to make a lot more money right away in this league as opposed to what we, been making in Conference USA. But I mean, I don't think Conference USA is just dead in the water. It is a sinking ship right now, but if you get Liberty on board next year, and maybe some of those teams transitioning from the FCS, like Jacksonville State, maybe they can make some noise right away.
Yeah, isn't James Madison a part of the CUSA expansion now?
No, they're in the Sun Belt. Yeah.
Oh, well, never mind. I was about to give you some points with that one. They look pretty scary. But if a cat has 9 lives, CUSA has already used 8. I think this is the last chance. If you take a look back in history at the teams that the CUSA had, all of those teams that have moved on and that's doing well, the UCFs, the Cincinnatis, they all were part of CUSA. Yeah. And so what the young people refer to as fumbling the bag, that is what CUSA has done. They have fumbled the bag over the years. We had so many teams. We had Houston. I played against a lot of those teams. We had UCF, Cincinnati. Like, we couldn't find a way to keep them. We couldn't give proper get good TV deals. We made bad moves. We weren't a step ahead in the CUSA. Like, the writing was beginning to be on the wall, but it was always reactive. Nothing, never proactive about anything.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I want to say it's so because Liberty is a great program. I love Western Kentucky. They're always. I think you guys will have a blood and rivalry there because they're a great program. I mean, middle, Tech, La Tech, they have their moments in the sun. They kind of tend to come and go. UTEP has seemingly been on the rise. I think there's a sliver of hope, and I think Jacksonville State is a great program. I think they'll come in. I think that they've been very consistent. So I think there's something to work with, but they cannot afford to get it wrong this time. Again, we got how many? It's so frustrating when you think about it, man. I get passionate because it's like, how do you let all of these good teams go?
Yeah.
And you weren't proactive, and now they're all flourishing, living life. It's like everybody went off and got husbands. Like they went and then it's like we're looking back and we're kind of just sitting back with a 6-pack wondering what could have been. So it's like
Liberty is going to have to use this as a stepping stone. Like, get in Conference USA, dominate for a couple years, and then maybe the AAC will drop Charlotte or something and say, "All right, Liberty, come on up with UAB or something like that."
All right, so 2 glimmers of hope. You guys hit on one, and that is the 12-team playoff. Honestly, it's national ranked, the highest ranking by the board or whatever. Conference champion. It's 6 conference champions. I went back and looked over the last 10 years or 8 years or something like that. 8 years. Over the last 8 years, 5 of those teams would have been Houston, UCF twice, Memphis, and there was one other. But all of those teams have moved on. So that pretty much is wide open right now. I mean, it's wide open. I know that it's in terms of history and what could have happened. 5 of those teams have moved up to the Power 5, so they won't be in a G5 eligible spot. So I think the door is open right now. Obviously the Sun Belt and the AAC have a much further they're much further advanced, but that's the number one thing. The number two thing is the media deal, right? And I know that that's coming out later this fall. I expect universities' media deals to payouts to double from what you guys are getting right now. I expect that to double, just from what I'm hearing and seeing. A lot of that has to do with the basketball. So when the Big Ten dropped ESPN and went to Fox, that's a huge college basketball void that ESPN has to fill. And you look at G5 conferences, Conference USA is going to be in the top 7, top 8 conference RPI for basketball. So I think that football is king, and it always has been, and media rights have always been done on football. But I think in this one case where Big Ten has dropped, Conference USA has really bolstered its RPI in basketball. That could do well for us. Hey, that was really interesting getting y'all's take on that. I know you guys have been around CUSA for a long time. I figured you'd be pretty jaded, but that's always good to hear that. And good luck in the AAC. Hey guys, Victory Blazer. I that backwards. I'm sorry. Blazer Victory Podcast. I listened to you guys last year, several episodes, especially leading up to Liberty. Been doing it for a long time. Been doing a great job. Tell us where we can find you on Twitter, and when do you release your shows? Have you already released your Liberty preview? Where can we find that, and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, so Blazer Victory Podcast, you can find us on Twitter at BlazerPod, and we have released our Liberty preview, including interview with John Manson, that Liberty fans can we encourage you to check out. Now, if you want to skip our UAB talk, John comes on about the 30-minute mark in the episode, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere, where you guys are. So definitely encourage Liberty fans to give us a listen and just, hear from the other side, hear what UAB folks are saying.
Darion, any final thoughts here?
I'm curious to hear, what's your prediction on this game?
Oh man, I haven't made a prediction on this game yet. I did say earlier in the year that I thought that we would be an underdog. One, for the revenge factor. Two, because I think y'all are one of the deepest teams that will play. One of the most talented. Again, I took the over 8.5 wins. Recently, especially after week 1, and we lost Charlie Brewer, I'm still feeling like we might be an underdog. However, I do think losing Clark and not having a head coach with any experience so here's how I always judge a team. 2 things. 1, head coach. Who has the best head coach? In my opinion, I think Hugh Freeze is proven. Clark was right up there. I loved what he did for that program, and you guys hit it on earlier. So you got to give the lean for head coach to Freeze, and then 2, starting quarterback, K Salt. I mean, if you believe in K Salt, then you think Liberty
has he started the game yet? Has he started the game yet?
If you believe in K Salt, then you think we have a chance. So I would say the 6.5 point line is very heavy. I would take Liberty plus 6.5. But my prediction, oh man, it's hard for me to pick against Liberty, and you guys are putting me on the spot right here in front of all these viewers. UAB is a great team. I'm looking forward to a good matchup, and it all depends on K Salt. Was the fourth quarter a fluke, or is he the baby goat? I don't know. We'll find out on Saturday.
This is like the Jeremy Lin, when Lin Sanity happened. Like,
Lin Sanity,
right?
Lin Sanity. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. All right, so
he does make me scared, and I am curious to see how we contain him.
Yeah. Talking about predictions, this is my favorite segment, guys. Thank you so much for joining. It was awesome having you on. We'll have you on again sometime down the road. Guys, stay around and listen to this 8-minute segment by my guy Richie Longshots. He is going to predict the game right now, and he typically comes with some pretty good stuff. So let's hit it.
This is Richie Longshots with the Week 2 edition of the Liberty Line. And what a great week one it was. It started Thursday night with great finishes in the Pitt, West Virginia game. That spilled over to Penn State, Purdue. Went through Friday. We had great games on Saturday. And we capped off Sunday night with a wild finish down in New Orleans with FSU and LSU. And yes, I'm recording this on Monday night before the Clemson-Georgia Tech game, but I'm not expecting too many fireworks with that one. Clemson probably going to roll. But on top of all of the craziness this week, one thing is important, and that is the fact that the Liberty Flames are 1-0. It wasn't pretty. We didn't cover the spread, and it was not the game that any of us were expecting. But at the end of the day, the Flames got the dub, and we had a little bit of success on the gambling front. And after a abysmal 0-3 week, I bounced back to record a 3-2 week profit. We are in the black. We're making a little bit of green. Not a ton of green. I started 3-0. I thought there was a chance we could route, but I still ended up 3-2, making a little bit of money. Not life-changing money, but enough to take your girl out for a nice little deserted sweet frog. And hope you're back in time for curfew. Now, we are on to week 2. We're going to keep the mojo going. But this is the week where there are a ton of questions. A ton of questions, especially on the front of Liberty football. And obviously, we're going to bet the game this week. And there are a ton of questions. Can the defense repeat and have another 4 turnovers? Who is going to be the starting quarterback? What is going to happen? Special teams. You know, yes, big field goal in overtime, but opportunities before that were missed. Another question, do they make the food at the Rot better on Seafall weekend and convince the kids to go? I'm just getting started. And we are currently looking at a spread of UAB minus 6.5. So Vegas is saying that they think that it is going to be a 1-score game with UAB taking home the victory. Now, this line opened up at 4.5 and right away moved to 6.5. And my guess is that word got out, Charlie Brewer is out for a couple months, and Vegas is just responding to that line, responding to the question marks at quarterback. The over-under of this game is 52.5, and UAB is coming off a throttling of AAMU, Alabama A&M University, I think. They won the game 59-0, covering that spread of 40.5. So they're coming in. Yes, that competition obviously isn't anywhere near what it is with the Liberty Flames, but still nonetheless a very impressive performance. UAB coming on the road. Last year, this UAB team was 5-1 on the road against the spread. So that's a very interesting fact. You also have to acknowledge that Liberty is a home dog. Home dogs are always a great value pick in college football. They say hungry dogs run faster, and that is a fact. Now, I kind of like the under in this game. I think Liberty is going to have another good defensive showing. UAB did not face a good defense, and yeah, they were able to score 59 points. I'm sure Liberty probably would have hung 40 or so if they played Alabama AMU. So I think that this pick is going to be dependent on who starts at quarterback. So I'm going to put a little caveat to this. If Caden Salter, shake it like a salt shaker, baby, is starting at quarterback, I will absolutely take the Flames plus 6.5. Maybe even a sprinkle the money line. If you're feeling a little froggy, let me pull up what that is now. Plus 215, so you're going to get almost a little more than 2 times your money back if you bet the Flames money line. Now, this is a situation where, look around, that number 6.5 is very close to 7, which is obviously a big time football number. So look at different books, shop lines, and see where you can get it. Me personally, I'm going to wait. If I can find 7, I'm going to jump on that. So that way, if the game does end with a touchdown, and you are still going to at least push. So similar to that, the West Virginia pick game, I had West Virginia plus 7.5. They lost by 7, and I won with the half of a point. So right now, assuming Caden Salter starts, it's salt season. Assuming he starts, I am going to go with Liberty plus 6.5. So if you're looking to make a little bit of money on some other games this week, I'm going to rapid fire give you 4 other games that I like, and I'm going to do it rapid fire because Chad told me I got to keep this under 7 minutes. So here we go. First game I like is Wake -7 against Vanderbilt. I wasn't sure how Wake was going to respond with the new quarterback, but they looked awesome. Yes, Vandy's coming off a big win, but Hawaii looked terrible. I believe in Wake. I've been a fan of Wake all season. Excited to see them. Next Saturday, we'll be live in attendance, but I think Wake gets the job done against Vandy on the road. Next up, Florida, UK. These are 2 great quarterbacks, Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, the former AR-15. That game is going to be absolutely electric. Points, points, points. It's going to look like a Big 12 game out there. No one is going to be playing defense, and I, for one, it's one of those games, bet the over, watch, have fun, let loose a little bit. Next up, I like the Alabama team total over. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. I just know that Coach Saban is going to beat Sark like a drum. It could get ugly. They want to welcome them, an early welcome to them coming into the SEC. Again, I don't care what the total is. They just scored 55 points against a decent Utah State team. They are going to just roll Texas. And Texas could keep it close, absolutely. I do love Quinn Ewers. I do love the running back Bijan. So I'm not touching the spread, a lot of points. I just think Alabama scores a boat ton of points. Next up, Iowa State money line against Iowa. A little rivalry week 2. Iowa was terrible last week. They scored 7 points, 2 safeties, and a field goal. Their defense scored more points than their offense. Their special teams scored more points than their offense. And that entire Iowa offense was just ugly. And I'm talking Liberty University parking situation in 2010 ugly. No sign of getting better. And I just believe that Iowa State is a frisky team, rivalry game. They're going to get up for it. I'm shocked that Iowa's 3.5-point favorites. I think Iowa State outright. Give me money line or give me death. All right, rapid fire. Next game. Is that all the games? Yeah, that's all the games I like. So those 4 games plus Liberty catching 6.5. I think that we can build on this past week, 3-2. Maybe next week try to go 4-1, but really above 55% is the goal. If I could go 3-2 every week, I will have considered this an incredible college football season. So we're moving in the right direction. I'm feeling good. Next week, I am going to be live with Chad next Tuesday night, live and in person. And I haven't been this excited for pretty much anything since the Duggars came to Convo because one of my dorm mates said that he could get one of the Duggar daughters' number. I bet him $20, easiest bet I ever made in my life. But week 2, 5 winners. I'm hoping they're 5 winners. We're going to be live next week. I'm going to be live at Wake Forest. Good luck, and more importantly, go Flames.
Whew, man, it's always like I hold my breath for 8.5 minutes when I don't preview that segment. And so let me answer a few questions. Yes, they do put better food in the rot on Seafall weekend. Yes, the parking was horrible in 2010. And Duggar girls getting their numbers. Are you serious? They were snuck in the back of the Vine Center and snuck out faster than Combo let out. And long shots. I hope you go 5-0 this weekend. And I like that you're taking, I mean, it does depend on K-Salt, whether or not we can cover that 6.5. Freeze said in his post game, he's the reason they won the game at Southern Miss. Can he be the reason we cover the spread this week? I don't know. We'll see. Check out the new Sea of Red 10-year logo up there. That is pretty sweet. 10 years, we're celebrating 10% off of all NIL shirts. Again, we have the Demario Douglas jersey. We have the Caden Salter jersey you can see right there on the screen. Let's get an example of a non-NIL shirt. These are $10 off. $10 off, $16 or so, $15 maybe. And this is a We Got Dudes. We're getting ready to put up this indigo color. So never sold before on the website for $16. You can't beat it. Get some good gear. It has the official markings. So this is what Scott Jackson has, but you can see that A Sea of Red is licensed to be able to sell official word marks and stuff. So that is the official Liberty logo there. With that, been a great show. We've been in almost an hour and a half and had a lot of fun doing it. Huge shout out to our producer, Nick Kirby, for always keeping the show going and taking it to the next level. It's been a lot of fun, Nick. I really appreciate you. Looking forward to hearing from Nick this upcoming basketball season. He's going to do pretty much the same format in terms of guests and hanging out and covering the basketball team. So looking forward to him doing that this year. And thanks for all he does. Again, shout out John Manson for 10 years at A Sea of Red. It's been awesome. Made being a Liberty fan cool again and fun again. So I always appreciate him. With that, we'll sign off until next time. Go Flames.